Okay, we are live, Mayor Aker.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our council meeting here in the City of Mount Pearl, public council meeting for August 9th, 2022. Council, you see before you an agenda, and I also note that there are 3 items also being added to the corporate services and public works agenda. With that in mind, I think there was an email just came out on that in the last few minutes. So I'd like to accept, please, a motion to adopt the agenda. Moved by Councillor Antle and seconded by Councillor Lane. All in favor?
All right.
Contraminded? Motion carried. Thank you very much. The first item on the agenda is the lands acknowledgement. We begin today's public council meeting by respectfully acknowledging the province of Newfoundland and Labrador as the ancestral homelands of many diverse populations of Indigenous peoples, including the Beothuk, who have contributed to 9,000 years of history on the island of Newfoundland. Today, this province is home to diverse populations of Indigenous and other people. We acknowledge, with respect, the diverse histories and cultures of the Mi'kmaq, Innu, and Inuit. We honor this beautiful land together as we strive for collective healing and true reconciliation. Council, the minutes from the previous public council meeting, July 26th, are before you. Are there any errors or omissions before we accept those minutes? Just quote the item number, please. Okay. Hearing none, just checking the room. I'm going to call for a motion, and it is moved by Deputy Mayor Kiley, seconded by Councillor Locke. All in favor of the July 26th minutes? And those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very, very much. Any businesses arising, folks?
I do, Your Worship.
Yes, please.
It's in reference to 22-07-391. Which was status reports from Capital Works updates at our last meeting. We had talked about the anticipated work that was on Dunn's Bridge there. It was supposed to start within 1 or 2 weeks. And I'm just wondering if we could have an update on that, as well as an update on the resurfacing of Smallwood Drive Extension. Director Antle?
I know Director Antle was down on the bridge earlier this week. No, late last week, I think it was. Go ahead, Director.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Councillor Fry, for the question. The work on Dunn's Corner Bridge, or Dunn's Road Bridge, whichever way anybody wants to associate it, that's the way I call it. The work on that bridge, we're coordinating with the contractor now to ensure that the work there is reduced to traffic disruption as much as we possibly can. That work, we're expecting it to occur within the next 1 to 2 weeks. Some details have taken longer to resolve than what we expected. So that work right now, we are trying to ensure that it's reduced to possibly around a 2 to 3 week closure of the bridge to try to reduce the impact to traffic. The work on Smallwood Drive Extension, that's surface course asphalt that's remaining. Some concrete repairs are underway right now. That work is very much weather dependent. We can't have any moisture when we're putting down another layer of asphalt on top of an existing layer. So that work is right now scheduled to be done the next nice day. I call it a fine weather day, which we've had lots, except for today. So as long as this week we get a day that's cleared, it's a fair amount of work to get paved there. So it's going to take, I expect, a couple of days. So a couple of days of good weather, we'll be able to finish the work in Smallwood Drive Extension.
Great, thank you so much. Again, the only thing that I want to ask is that when we have a date set for the Dunn's Bridge, that we can let our residents know as early as possible so they can make alternate arrangements.
Absolutely. It's a very good point. Once we get to that, we'll be advising if it's potentially what we call sometimes a local road closure, that will take time in advance, because that would mean that we'll actually be closing that for through traffic, but local traffic only. So once we get to that decision, we'll communicate that as broadly as possible.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you much. Any further commentary arising out of the minutes from 2 weeks ago? Hearing none. The first item committee meeting report is the Planning, Engineering, Development Committee. Councillor Fry, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. First on our agenda this evening is a proposed personal care home inquiry, and this is located at 79 to 115 Mount Carson Avenue. So a couple of years ago in 2020, a public notice was undertaken in relation to the amendment, which clearly illustrated the purpose was for council to consider a personal care use building for the accommodation and care of elderly persons at this location on Mount Carson Avenue, located at the corner of Mount Carson Avenue and Larson Street. And the following methods of public engagement were used, fulfilling the requirements for public notice for discretionary use. So we had a public mail out of 450 plus. There were 4 mail outs dated April the 28th, 2020. We had a notice in the Telegram dated May 2nd of 2020. We had a public notice in Mount Pearl Matters dated April 30th, 2020, and we actually received a lot of positive feedback on this. That development at the time didn't proceed, but now we have somebody who is interested in doing the same type of the development here. So we are recommending the Planning, Engineering, and Development Committee has processed this discretionary use application as per section 4.17 of the Mount Pearl Development Regulations 2010. And the Planning Division has reviewed the application, and the committee recommends approval of this discretionary use application and that a development permit be issued subject to section 7.13 of the Mount Pearl Development Regulations 2010, and subject to the conditions set out by the following. Service Newfoundland and Labrador Environmental Health, Department of Municipal Affairs and Environment Water Resources Management Division, St. John's Regional Fire Department, the City of Mount Pearl Inspection Services Municipal Enforcement Division, the City of Mount Pearl Finance Division, the City of Mount Pearl Planning Division, and the City of Mount Pearl Development Regulations 2010 as related requirements. So I'm not sure if this is for information only or if it requires a motion, Your Worship.
There's actually two more. Well, there's 2 issues. There's the discretionary use approval as well as the development permit so that the party can proceed to seek a building permit down the road. So it is moved by Councillor Fry.
Seconded.
And seconded by Councillor Rice. Council, any questions, discussion?
Just a quick note there, Your Worship. Just a quick note. I certainly do support this motion and development request. I mean, we're certainly looking for more seniors housing in Mount Pearl, and there's a huge demand for it. So I'd certainly support this fully. Thank you.
Final call. I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. No, I just wanted to just a quick question on this and a comment similar to Councillor Antles. I fully support more senior housing and support for this recommendation. A question regarding the mail outs and the information. It seems as though it was very laid out. There's no with regards to the information and the spirit of what's to be developed from what was initially proposed and with the new developers. There's nothing of a major change development wise, would you say, around that?
Director Antle, I think it was a less intense development, to be honest, then versus now, correct?
It's a similar layout on the site with overall scale. There's nothing of any substantial change to the original proposal, but it's a different development.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, final call, final thoughts? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
And contrary-minded, motion carried. Thank you.
Okay, next on our agenda is the building and occupancy permit list for the period of July 25th to August the 5th. So the Planning, Engineering, and Development Committee recommends that the building permit issued for the period of July 25th to August 5th, showing a total construction value of $45,000 be approved, and further, that the occupancy permit list be accepted as presented. And as you can see in your kit here, we have one for interior renovations on Westminster Drive, and we have a building construction for commercial on Duns Road, a demolition for number 4. And then we have 3 occupancy permits issued, one for Badger Place, Arena Road, and Topsail Road. And I so move.
Councillor Fry, seconded by Councillor Rice, has moved the building construction, residential, commercial, as well as occupancy permits. Council, any questions? I'll call the question. Those in favor?
Aye.
And contrary-minded? Thank you. Motion carried.
And now Councillor Rice is going to finish our report for this evening, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fry. Your Worship, number 3 on our agenda today for PED is our glacier phase loss protection. So the background on this one, the committee was advised that the city's electrical services contractor, Pro Circuit Electrical, was asked to source the appropriate phase loss protection equipment for the glacier. So Pro Circuit obtained a material quote from a Siemens local vendor, McLaughlin's, in accordance with our electrical service contract. Pro Circuit provide the total quote to supply and installation, a total cost of $15,883.39, HST included. So recommendation from Planning, Engineering and Development Committee recommends approval to proceed with the work as planned via the electrical service contract for the total sum of $15,883.39, HST included, and I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Rice and seconded by Councillor Fry. Any questions? I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Lots of thumbs. Thank you. Motion's been approved. Thank you.
Okay, Your Worship, number 4, our status reports for information purposes. Our capital work project update, Park Avenue asphalt renewal, bridge work to start within 1 to 2 weeks. Just commented by Director Antle a few minutes ago regarding starting our bridges. Smallwood Drive asphalt renewal, preparing for concrete work as well as asphalt work next week. And you can see the work that's been continuing up on, if anybody is driving on Smallwood in the last several days, you can see it's quite a tear up there. And I might add that Modern Paving are doing a great job because they have a lot of pylons and signage up, and also they have their flag persons up when needed up there. So it's very good to see. Next one is our smart accessible playground. Topsoil grading and concrete walkway completed. The playground structure is anticipated to arrive next week. I also visit that site actually over the last couple of days, and it's moving along really nicely over there. And it's really nice to see that smart accessible playground coming to some kind of completion. Also, our asphalt and concrete contract awarded work anticipated to start within the next 1 to 2 weeks. And that's it for our report, Your Worship.
Thank you very, very much. Well done, folks. I'm going to turn now to the corporate services and public works agenda there in the agenda, noting there are three items in the email that was sent out this afternoon. And I'm going to call upon Deputy Mayor Kiley, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm going to be taking the 2 first items of our agenda for our committee. First, of course, is the invoices for council approval. This evening's invoices total about $122,246.97, comprised of 4 payments. Notably, there are 2 invoices from Provincial Investigation Services for both $24,880.25 and $19,029.63, which is reflective of video surveillance costs from the current labor disruption. These services are instrumental in ensuring the safety of our workers crossing picket lines and performing the work of our city during this time. There's an invoice as well for $51,438.58 from MVT Canadian Bus, which is the cost of paratransit bus trips from the month of June 2020. 2022. In June, the city paid for 1,110 paratransit trips, 380 GO bus trips, and 67 no-show charges. Additionally, and I so move for this approval.
Moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded, of course, by Councillor Locke. Any questions, Council, on those 4 items?
I do, Your Worship. Did you say 60 no-show?
Yeah.
Right. So we're charged for no shows. Seems an awful high number to me.
That's a fair. Thank you, Councillor Fry. That's a fair comment, and maybe we could ask our Director Pittman to comment on the policy. Some of this, I would say, potentially regulated by the agreement that in which is in place currently.
Well, I'm concerned for 2 reasons, actually. First of all, I know a lot of times when residents are looking to use the Go Bus, there are some frustrations when the Go Bus is more than an hour to 3 late. So if a resident wants to go to an appointment, you book the Go Bus accordingly. If the Go Bus doesn't show up in time, you miss your appointment, you find alternate arrangements. Is that considered a no-show at that point? And that's a concern. But secondly, another concern is how much money are we spending by these no-shows? Like, this is something that we need to look further into. But I believe the city of St. John's are doing they're studying that now, I believe. So I guess we'll wait and see how it comes from there. I'm sorry I digress. I was just a little bit shocked at the number.
Well, you know, I think the number, Director Pittman, is about 5%, right? But I do believe it's built into the contract that if the bus moves, somehow it has to be paid for. So MVT gets reimbursed. But I take Councillor Fry's concerns. You know, you never like to see a bus being paid for by taxpayers' money that's going empty. Any thoughts?
It might be. Oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to say it's a reduced fee, but it's certainly under review, and we can take back any information we have. We're charged $12 per no-show. That's consistent across both paratransit and Go Bus rides. So for the month of June, we had 41 no-shows for paratransit and 26 for Go Bus. So in terms of your question in relation to what constitutes a no-show and whether or not that's somebody who makes prior arrangements and cancels with notice, I'm not sure. I'd have to look into that and get back to you, but we can certainly do that.
Any other comments, folks, before we move to the motion? I don't see any hands up. I'll call the question. All in favor? And those opposed? Motion carried. On to the payment register. Thank you.
That leaves us to the payment register, and this evening's payment register totals $2,023,276.97. And this is reflected by payments made by the city during the period of July 26th right up to including July 29th. Notably, the city paid the second installment of the Admiralty House operating grant of $45,000, which supports the ongoing operations of the Admiralty House Museum, as well as $195,878.09 paid to the Clearware Contracting Limited for line painting progress payments this spring. So those are just some items. And of course, this is just for reference with regards to the payment registry.
Any questions from council? Thank you, Deputy Mayor. On to you, Councillor Locke.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll take the third item here, which is updates for our public works status update. Our garbage collection continues to be picked up on a bi-weekly basis. We did have a recycling that took place yesterday on August the 8th from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. Our parks and playgrounds are open. Our sports fields are continuing to be mowed and are ready to be used. Our trails and parks litter collection is still ongoing. We did see some beautiful flower planters that were in place around St. David's Park. It certainly brings a nice color to the park. Our graffiti is being addressed throughout the city. The inspection of our lift stations and our pump house, that continues. And just to note that water sampling, our water testing and water sampling is also ongoing. And that's it for this status update, Mayor. And that's it for this formal part of our committee report. But I'll turn it over now to, sorry, I see a hand up there, so I won't turn it over just yet. Thank you, Mayor.
One quick question, Councillor Locke. Yeah, I see the parks and playgrounds are open. Is there any update when they're going to be mowed? Are we going to get them mowed in the next short time frame?
Well, thank you for that question, Councillor Antle. Right there now, based on our core services, which we're primarily focused on, and given our short staff, that depends on what, I guess, what comes across on our plate at any given time. It is planning in the near future that we're going to attempt to try to mow some of the grass in some of our local playgrounds, and hopefully that falls in place.
No, I had some residents ask me about that, so I told them I'd ask them publicly and see when we could do it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thanks everybody. Back to you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda for our committee is an update on negotiations. And as a committee, we acknowledge and understand that the impact of this labor disruption is having an effect on us all and all of you. We see that the fields of our community are empty, our facilities are closed, and programming is suspended. And we are being asked by many of you to get back to the table and get a deal. And let me be very clear to say that this is what we want as well. Mount Pearl works to maintain our position as an employer of choice. Our employees will continue to benefit from very competitive wages, a defined benefit pension plan, a severance entitlement after 10 years of service, health and dental benefits, and a more than reasonable sick leave allocation. The City of Mount Pearl will always be a great place to work for both existing and new employees. As a steward of the taxpayers' dollars, it's our job to ensure that our ongoing operations remain sustainable and we can be delivered within our existing budgets. And we do believe this can be achieved. We appreciate your patience as we work toward delivering the services of the city as best we can. Those are our updates right now, and I would like to pass it along to my colleague, Councillor Locke, to talk a little bit about the financial update.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Mayor and Council, as we know, last week, the city brought forward the audited 2021 financial statements into the public meeting. And these financial statements provide a summary of city revenue and expenditures for 2021. As I noted during that time, last year, the city experienced a decrease in revenue coupled with an increase in expenses. And this is important for council to consider as we are now moving into the 5th week of the current labor disruption. And just to note, council, that the decisions that we make now are going to have a lasting effect on the cost of operations for the short, the medium, and the long term for the city. And when this council brought forward the 2022 budget, we were open and we were transparent about the budget pressures that the city is experiencing. With no anticipated increases in revenue for 2022, our mandate at the time when we brought down the budget was to maintain the current level of expenditure, while at the same time striving to meet the changing needs of our community. And that objective remains intact. We're trying to work within our means as we negotiate this new collective agreement. And we all know as a council, it's our job to ensure the long-term sustainability of our operation. And that includes managing our resources. The city's revenue is not growing. And while we maintain a strong tax base, our taxation revenue has decreased year over year. The tax revenue is down over $2 million in just a couple of years. Tax revenue hit a peak of $46.9 million in 2020. This decreased to $44.5 million in 2021. And council is projected to be $44.1 million in 2022. Mount Pearl, as our Deputy Mayor just alluded to, has always been a great place to work, offering a very competitive wage and benefits package. We have worked to attract and to retain employees. And I think we've been very successful at that. And we compensate them well for the hard work they do to deliver the top quality services that our city enjoys. But that compensation and that high level of service comes at a cost. Payroll expenditures remain the city's largest expense, representing over $19.3 million in 2021, which is just over 36% of the city's overall budget. The cost of payroll-related expenses has increased over $2 million since 2018, and just over $6 million in the last 8 years since 2014. So based on the reality of our reduced revenue and our rising costs of service delivery and payroll-related expenditures, we must reach a collective agreement that can be delivered within our existing budgets. Again, the focus on sustainability here. And as the Deputy Mayor has acknowledged, we, the council and the city, we acknowledge the impact that this labor disruption is having on our community at large. And that includes our residents, our businesses, our athletes, our community groups, and our employees. And yes, we very much want to, and we look forward to reaching an agreement, again, that is balanced and fair to all parties involved, the residents, the businesses, and the employees. And that's it for a brief financial update there. Mayor, I'll turn it back over now to the Deputy Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Locke. Thank you, Your Worship. The final item that we wanted to discuss is in relation to a proactive disclosure. And the City of Mount Pearl has chosen to exercise proactive disclosure in response to an access to information and protection of privacy request, ATIP known as, received last month for the earnings of all city employees, including wages and overtime. And as a municipality, we remain open and transparent to our taxpayers, and as much as made the decision to proactively disclose all wage information. So earlier this afternoon, the city released the gross pay, including total pensionable earnings and total additional earnings for 2020. And that's a partial year, 2021, and of course, 2022 year to date. The partial year of 2020 is reflective of the switch to a new payroll system and reporting limitations to the prior system. So ultimately, it just wasn't available, and the upgrades in which we have made were put in place. As stated previously, Mount Pearl has a competitive and attractive total compensation package, and we value the work of our employees, which is reflected in the higher than average wage package currently offered to them. This information now is available on our website at www.mountpearl.ca for all to view and review. And that's
Mayor, oh, sorry, Deputy Mayor, I was just going to jump in there. Like,
yeah, please go ahead, folks. Yeah.
Just further to what the Deputy Mayor just acknowledged there. We did have a conversation at our committee meeting about this is the first ask of this type, to my knowledge, the level of detail that's asked in this particular request for, wages, total wages. So it's something that we haven't disclosed previously, but at committee we said maybe it's something, that we should disclose. So I'm suggesting that we take it back to committee and explore the option. Is this something that we could possibly do on an annual basis, to disclose this annually to the public, again in the spirit of total transparency. So again, I would suggest we bring it back to committee, do further investigation, and then bring it back to council for further discussion. Thank you, Mayor.
You're very welcome. I noticed in the table that was supplied, I'm going to ask Director Pittman, first of all, just to confirm the rates that are quoted per hour, which would apply to most of our employees. They're before benefits, correct?
That's correct. The hourly wages are not the total compensation costs, they're just the hourly wages. So this does not include things like cost of benefit, pension, contributions, et cetera. It's just the hourly salary.
Right. So working from those numbers, you see many of those hourly rates are in the 20s and in the $30 range, and typically that's a 37.5-hour week that our employees work. Generally speaking, is that correct?
It varies. So in our office staff, absolutely work 37.5 hours a week or 1,950 hours a year. The majority of our public works and full-time aquatics employees work 40-hour a week work weeks or 2,080 hours a year.
So then you can add on to that overtime, and you can add on to that as well another 20 to 25% for benefits. And I think both the Deputy Mayor and Councillor Locke referred to the fact that, some of the cost that the city bears is not just the wages that go to our employees, but it's also what we call payroll burden. The city share of the matching contributions or so for pension, as well as for health and dental. And, we got other things too. We pay shift premiums and the shift differentials and overtime. What are the overtime rates that we incur typically on a scheduled weekend? Is it time and a half? And what is it on a holiday?
So anything over, it's a good question. So anything over 40 hours a week would be double time rate. So once an employee's worked their 40 hours or 37 and a half hours, it'd be double time. Anything up to 40 hours would be time and a half. So for example, if a member of the public works team gets called in on the weekend, typically that would be a double time call out. And then just to kind of circle back to your question around the total cost of compensation, we worked in about a 37% increase. So in addition to wages, our total cost of compensation is 37% higher than wages to account for things like our pension contribution, benefit contribution, and just total cost of employment.
So in a difficult economic environment that we've experienced in the last 4 to 5 years, though, in terms of wage increases, have we held the line with our staff? I don't think our management staff have had any increase in the last 2 years. What has been the increase given to CUPE the last 4 years?
So this contract, 2018 to 2022, was a 4% overall wage increase. So the most recent increase would have been July 2022, which was 2% on the tail end of this currently expired agreement. We've been in a management wage freeze for the last 2 years. So our management wages have been frozen as we attempted to work with a challenging, as Councillor Locke pointed out, with some challenges in the city's revenue stream. So that's been our reality. In terms of keeping pace in the last 10 years, we've traditionally kept pace. We've actually outpaced inflation over the last 10 years. In up to 2022, can't comment on where this will result, but we've traditionally outpaced inflation to date.
Thank you. I see Councillor Rice has his hand up.
Thank you, Your Worship. Director Pippin, just for clarification on the overtime. So Monday to Friday, if somebody gets called in at say 7 o'clock in the night, is that still considered double time during the weekdays?
Not if they haven't worked their 40 hours. So
Yeah,
if they've worked their 40 hours, it's time. If they've not worked 40 hours for the week, it'd be time and a half until they're 40 hours. And then anything above 40 hours would be double time, or anything on a day of rest. So if someone's called in on their scheduled day off, it's automatically double time.
Double time. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Council, any further questions? Any further comments? Deputy Mayor again.
I wanted to circle back to Councillor Locke's idea of putting back the idea of what proactive disclosures can look like moving forward as a matter of transparency and accountability to add to kind of our toolkit. And just wanted to acknowledge that a lot of the work of corporate services this year has been to increase policy, legislative, and increases to that. So, but I just want to say I'm fully in support of a review and looking at how we can continue and make this a consistent way in which we can be open and transparent to the public, but also have this piece of information and ways in which we could look at this, review this, and ensure that we're being as transparent as we can with regards to this in the resources and costs and accountability that moves forward. And when we look at these sort of these figures and numbers and how it's reflected in our economic forecast. So just wanted to say that as well.
Running a city takes a lot of decision making, a lot of planning, and we work with a lot of great people here at the City of Mount Pearl. Some of them are in this room, and some of them are in other rooms at the end of the day. But it takes a lot of work to ensure that we look out for the taxpayer, which includes our businesses and our residents. And at the same time, we have to be measured in how we plan our expenditures. And of course, expenditures are always under review during the budget process and throughout the year. Councillor Antle to take her home.
There you go. Thank you very much, Worship. Yeah, I think this is a great piece of information. It's an ATIP, and we did it, and we did it with full transparency. I happen to notice though, there's no councillor or mayor salary on that. Or is it? I didn't see it there. Can we include salary for council and mayor? And maybe could we include expenses too into this? So it's all for public disclosure. And I looked at, as councillors and as mayor, we don't get no pension. I want to make sure that's clarified in this piece of information.
That's the takeaway to the committee. Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, anybody else? Hearing none, there was no motions with that, but a great discussion. Let's move on to the committee. I think the lead is going to be Councillor Antle. It is the Recreation and Public Safety Committee. Carry on, sir.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Just one thing for me, and it's regarding the some cancellations and a refund updates. For the information of the public, most refunds now have been requested and all cancellations for all facilities, memberships and aquatics up to August the 7th have been completed. There was over 600 plus manual refunds have been completed, and there are less than 10 right now remaining, and all people have been contacted. Please, it's just a gentle note that if you registered and paid online, you should have received your funds automatically. Anyone who registered in person who have been contacted regarding the refund, please be patient because we're working as fast as we can and we get it all done. So it is on the way. And thank you very much for me, Your Worship.
And Councillor Lane, are you taking the next one?
Yes, I am, Mayor. Thank you. So for number 2 on our agenda, we have swim lessons for the fall session. The swimming registration and lessons for the fall sessions are currently on hold due to the ongoing labor disruption. Information related to registration and programs will be provided when possible. And that finishes our committee's report for this evening. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, folks. Council meeting is starting to come to an end, but first of all, let's do a quick roundtable, and we'll start with you, Councillor Rice.
Thank you, Your Worship. First of all, I'd like to start off by reiterating actually what Deputy Mayor and Councillor Locke has talked about on our finances. And we do realize that this labor dispute is a huge impact for our residents and businesses. You know, it's been our services have been downgraded, and a lot of our buildings have been closed, and our fields, like we continue to move forward to try to do the best we can under the certain circumstances that we do have right now. So I just want to make a couple of comments about regarding being elected, I guess, as a councillor in the city of Mount Pearl. I mean, my best vested interest right here is the residents and the businesses in Mount Pearl. That's who elected me. And you know, when I look at regarding you know, the comments that Councillor Locke just made regarding our budgets and our overall budgets, and you know, we have to work within our means. So you know, when we talk about, you know, just jumping from one side to another and, you know, going with you know, we got to meet in the middle here. You know, it's about a meeting in the middle and coming to a compromise. And it's about fair deal for everybody. And with the current 2 years with COVID, I mean, a lot of our businesses were closed down. The Summit Center, the pool, a lot of the fields were closed down. So there was no revenue coming in. So you know, like it's trying times for everybody, and it's very difficult. But we're going to work through this. The mayor and councillors are pretty well neutral in this, I guess, as you say. We have a negotiating team on both sides. We try to help both, you know, our management team with supporting them as much as we need to. And I just want to say, financially and feasibly, we have to look at the long term for the city of Mount Pearl and operate within our budget. So I just want to add that in for full support there. Second, I want to just make a comment that our Canada Games teams from Newfoundland and Labrador now are gone up to Niagara Falls. A lot of teams are already up there and competing up there. So I want to wish all of them, I guess, the teams from Newfoundland and Labrador, and especially all the kids, I guess, and people from Mount Pearl that are up there competing at a level that, I guess, the highest level of competition that will be next to anything, I guess, across Canada. So all people from BC, right from Newfoundland to BC, are competing at those games. So I just want to say good luck. Volleyball is near and dear to my heart, so I just want to say a good luck to our Canada Games male and female volleyball team, and I hope they do really well up there at that as well. And also, I just want to add, I've had several calls from for some residents, I guess. I'm trying to communicate the best I can regarding the recycling program to the residents, that right now we're currently under our conditions with our being, I guess, short-staffed and with our management trying to do the recycling, that the collection is Mondays at, I think the 10 to 6 is going to be our current times. So I just want to make that public announcement that, I had several calls from a couple of residents that were not fussy about crossing the picket line. And I said, the other option would be also, if you're going to the East End, you can drop your recycling off to Robin Hood Bay yourself, if you feel you want to go down there. So I just want to add that in as well. And that's it for me, Your Worship.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Councillor Lane, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. So just a couple of things for me. I just want to remind residents about the ongoing fire ban right now. I'm sure, as most of us are aware, there's several fires going on in our island, and it's getting very scary for a lot of residents. We're fortunate here in Mount Pearl, we're not in that situation right now, but we have to be proactive, and everyone needs to follow the regulations. I understand it's summer and we all enjoy having a bonfire in the evening, but right now we just can't do that. So that's very important to keep that in mind going forward until that fire ban is lifted. I want to send a congratulations to the Mount Pearl boys under 13 team on taking home silver at the annual Paradise Sunsplash tournament. And I also wanted to extend congratulations to the Mount Pearl girls under 11A soccer team on taking home gold in the Paradise Sunsplash tournament. So big congratulations to them. And again, we have such talented youth here, so we're very fortunate. And that's all from me, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Fry, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Further to what Councillor Rice was saying in terms of the summer games, they began this past Saturday and they're continuing on until the 21st of August. It's taking place in the Niagara region. And as of today, we had 2 of our Mount Pearl Marlins on the podium. So I just want to say congratulations to Thomas Pelly and Chris Weeks for earning silver medals in the 100-meter free at the Canada Games. So as far as I know, those are the first, I could be corrected, but those are the first medals that we have. So congratulations to our Mount Pearl Marlins. I also wanted to remind residents of the fire ban, as Councillor Lane had just mentioned. But I wanted also to send our thoughts to those who are affected and our colleagues in the central region. I can only imagine what they're going through right now. So I know our thoughts, all of our thoughts, are with them during this time. And finally, for me, on August the 4th, on Regatta Day, I had the absolute privilege of attending the official dedication and wreath laying of the new Memorial Gardens Field of Honor. And that is in Beaumont Hamel Way in Galway up here. The current Field of Honor in Mount Pleasant Cemetery is reaching capacity. So this is the new one that's going to carry forward. And it was a lovely ceremony. I was delighted to lay a wreath on behalf of Mount Pearl. It was well attended, and it was kind of heartwarming actually to see so many residents there and so many people there and so many veterans there. So I just want to say congratulations to the Last Poppy Fund and to all involved in making this happen. And that's it for me, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Locke, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of items here. First of all, I'd like to echo what Councillor Rice and Councillor Fry said about our athletes up in Niagara. We certainly wish them well. Also, my heart goes out again to our friends in central Newfoundland, and hopefully the bit of rain that we're having here today now will at least enhance the firefighting efforts that are out there. So the next thing for me, I'd just like to extend condolences to the family of Tom Henderson, former provincial politician, cabinet minister, passed away at age 68. I didn't know him personally, but he did serve as Minister of Education during my time in my teaching career. And I did have several encounters with him. And someone in one of the releases today said he was one of the nicest people that you'd ever meet. And I would echo that sentiment. He was truly genuine. He was just such a nice person, very personable, approachable, and always had his constituents and the province near and dear to his heart. So I just wanted to publicly express condolences to the Henderson family for their loss. And on a good note, I guess, I was in a local business recently, and it was Horizon Laminates up in Donovan's in our business park up here, going up to do some business. And, for years they've been, they haven't been retail, but they're currently opening a retail portion of their shop. So speaking to what Councillor Rice said about the hardship with COVID that many of our businesses went through, and the owner, Mr. Harvey Short, did indicate that it was a rough go during COVID, but they came out of it. But he said with pride that I think his grandfather started New Way Kitchens in 1967, and then they have been in their location up there on Sagona Avenue for 32 years in the city of Mount Pearl, and they manufacture the countertops up there. It's I was very impressed with the scale of the operation, and also with the terrific service that they provided up there. And so I did have quite a chat with Mr. Short, and he did indicate that they're the only such business, I think, in Atlantic Canada that are actually manufacturing. So anyways, I was so impressed that I suggested that perhaps council in the near future might like to drop up and just see, the great work that they're doing. But it's just an example of so many businesses that we have here in Mount Pearl. Many people see Mount Pearl as a young community, but we have some very long-running businesses, successful businesses here in Mount Pearl. And I just wanted to acknowledge, like I said, Laminate Horizon, and hopefully their business picks up as they open their retail sector. So that's it for me, Your Worship. I thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Deputy Mayor Kiley, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just have a few items here. I wanted to talk about a most recent upgrade that had been done by the city, and it's specifically to increase accessibility and inclusion. And anytime we do that, I want to acknowledge it as absolutely to support it and to applaud it, but also to make it for people to be aware of a new type of system that has been increased or people can access. So recent upgrades have been made to the city's key to access system. And that allows users to request street crossing signals without having to find and touch the button on the pole. So basically what that means is this tech will allow anyone who's mobility impaired or visually impaired pedestrians while crossing the street to be able to access that. And systems are installed right now at the following locations: Commonwealth Avenue, Topsail Road, Ruth Avenue, Centennial Street, Glendale Avenue, and St. Avenue. And just as easy for you on your mobile app or device to download the app, and then you can just link right into that. Wanted to let people know that Wireless Pedestrian Mobility Pilot Project was an incredible success, and in fact expanded. So just to applaud those that were a part of that, behind that, and continuing to support that. And also, as my colleagues have identified, it's so exciting to hear more work and the actions of our Canada, of all of our Team Canada's and Canada Summer Games athletes, those that were representing Mount Pearl fiercely. But also something on a provincial level that I'm so excited to hear about is that we've already, as a province, rewrote history in baseball with Jada Lee, who had become right now the first 2 days of competition to ultimately to represent as an individual, as a young woman on the games. So that's incredible. And is similarly just again my support and gratitude goes out to those that are dealing and working throughout all the regions. And I know a lot of the regional fire departments and all the services and all those that are first responders that are working diligently to connect those that are in those regions, dealing with the fires, dealing with all those. And I just wanted to say, we're in a matter where this is going to be something I think as a province and as a municipality we're going to continue to be seeing with climate change. And that's why sustainability is so important to be a part of our thinking and a part of our support. But my appreciation and gratitude goes to all those first responders, individuals that are working hard to keep members, our family members living outside and all across the province safe. And that's all from you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Antle, please.
Your worship, I'll be short and sweet because I think we talked a lot. First off, we just wanted a little bit of good news. On Saturday, we have one of our councillors, Councillor Chelsea Lane, is getting married. I'd like to congratulate Chelsea. We'll all be there for her happy day, and we're looking forward to Chelsea and her husband Keith, husband to be. Congratulations, Chelsea. So next time we see you, we'll be all married off. Okay? I too want to echo our sentiments from all other councillors. We certainly do support the union and our staff to get back to work as most as we possibly can. We encourage conversation and talk. And that's everything from me, Your Worship. Nice and quick.
Well, thanks, everybody. It's been a very productive council meeting. I know it's been a long day for CAO Spurl and the directors here, as well as all of our staff that are still working at City of Mount Pearl, and we look forward to continuing negotiations. And I think it was summed up quite well by Councillor Rice. We represent the taxpayer, but we also acknowledge the great work and service delivery that's done by all of our staff. So, at the end of the day, face-to-face negotiations are the way to go, and hopefully they will resolve. Can't say exactly when, but in the short term rather than long term. So I'll call for a motion to adjourn the meeting, and it is moved by Councillor Fry and